What's up, guys? It is JZNES back again with another video. Today we are here to talk about all things Zelda. These fell over. Every Zelda game ever. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, we're just talking about Zelda 1 today. Astute viewers will realize that I've already covered this game a long time ago, and that's actually still a pretty decent review. I will probably be hitting on a lot of the same points as that review. You can see I've got my badass Zelda 1 shirt. I saw this thing on eBay for like years. Literal, like, probably 5 or 6 years. And it was 20 bucks, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna finally fucking buy this thing, and it was worth it, so it's awesome. I love it. Anyway, so yeah, we're talking Zelda 1. Like, one of the best games of all time. It made, like, my top 20 games, I believe. And also, like, yeah, just, like, in general, it's probably the best NES game, in my opinion. I mean, I know Super Mario Bros. 3 is a really popular choice for that. But, it's my favorite NES game of all time. A system which I've based my whole name on, and we'll probably be covering a lot in the future, and that's a little update there. So maybe I'm going to get back to some NES stuff here in a bit for a specific reason, which I'll get into when I start reviewing those games. So, but this is the first step on that journey, a very appropriate step. Now, I reviewed some NES games before, but on my grand new NES journey, this is the first step right here. Zelda, which is so appropriate since it is my favorite NES game of all time. And of course I've got Zelda 2 over here. Now these games, I did have a whole video where I talked about the history of Zelda, but, of my history with Zelda, but, you know, I started, the first Zelda game that I saw was Link's Awakening, which is not here. These are just the Zelda games that I will be covering, pictured here, which is, you know, most of them, but, you know, I've already covered, like, Link's Awakening and, like, Wind Waker isn't here and stuff like that. So, but Link's Awakening, and then I saw these two N64 games. Originally I saw Ocarina of Time, then I got it myself and played it later, then played Majora's Mask. And then later on, my friend had a copy of Wind Waker, or he had the bonus disc. He had Wind Waker, but he had the bonus disc before Wind Waker as well, where it featured Zelda 1 and Zelda 2 there, and I'm showing the Game Boy Advance versions because the original way I played Zelda 1 after watching him play it was on the Game Boy Advance here, which is like a decent port. The screen size is kind of an issue, and so the control feels a little awkward on here, and especially with Zelda 2 as well. And I got these back in the day because I was trying to complete every Zelda game, even back then, and like, I don't know, the early 2000s or whatever, like maybe like 2006 or something like that. I was trying to complete every Zelda game. Might have been before that. I don't know. It was around the time, a little bit after I discovered emulation and whatnot. But I used to play Zelda 2 on emulation a lot. But anyway, so I'd never beat it. And I tried to beat this version back in the day and then realized that was super hard. And so I just used the collector disc, which I should have brought out, but I wasn't even thinking about that. To beat it. So I actually beat it on the GameCube, which is arguably maybe harder. Not really. This is actually kind of a really hard version of Zelda 2. But anyway, we'll talk about that when we get to Zelda 2. Point being with those is that my original way of experiencing Zelda 1 was through the Game Boy Advance cartridge there. But the original cartridge is a much better version of Zelda 1. And actually this time around I played it on the Switch Online, which actually has like save states and like you can rewind a little bit if you like screw up and all that kind of stuff. That was actually really helpful. Admittedly, I did cheat for money a little bit on the money making game. I would just like save scum it to get the money, but like, don't blame me. Like, I played this game a million times and grinded up money, and I even grinded up money this time around as well. So yeah, so like, not a big deal. Like, I've beaten this game a ton of times legitimately before. So and really, other than, like, Ganon, which is always where I have to, like, fucking use a map, I didn't use that many maps. Some of the later dungeons I did just a little bit, just to kind of see where things were, but I liked to explore around a little bit. And this was the first time I've ever kind of... I mean, I think I've done it before, but, like, I sort of went out of order. I did non-linearity. I did Dungeon 1, and then I did Dungeon 3, and then I went to do Dungeon 2, and then after that, I think I did Dungeon 4, but then after that I did, well, I started 6, and then I went to 5, and then, or no, hold on. I went to 8 after that. I just wanted to do the last dungeon just to see if I could do it, and obviously I could, because I had the step ladder from whatever dungeon that's from. I think that's the 4th dungeon. And before that, I had gone around and collected all the extra heart pieces and stuff. I'll talk about that in a second, but then I did Dungeon 8, and then I went back to do Dungeons 5, 7, and then 6 was the last one I did. So, and then I did, of course, Ganon's Tower there later on. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun to, like, kind of just run around and go out of order and whatnot, because Zelda really allows you to do that. And that's what's so cool about this game, is that the world is pretty much open to you. There's only a few kind of areas you can't really go to at the start of the game. They're kind of gated off by you need items, like the stepladder and the raft and stuff will get you to a few spots, which you get throughout the dungeons. So you have to, like, really explore and really figure out what's going on, and like, you know, even like right away they point you to this little cave. It's like a little black square, and you're just like, oh, I should go in there. That's probably a thing I can go into, right? You go in there, guy gives you a sword, says it's dangerous to go alone, take this or whatever, you know, classic line there. You get the item, and then you go out and you fight a bunch of guys, and then that's it. You're the kid, you're Link, you're out fighting guys. It's awesome. And then you just kind of explore, and then throughout the world there's a bunch of shops and whatever, and you'll find like some of them are selling like a shield or a candle. So, you know, the first thing you kind of want to invest into is a candle or some bombs or something. So you get the candle. Is this okay, I think that's this is the last track here. So you get some candles and like the bombs and all of that. Nice. Here, we'll just do like, sure, that'll work. Is this, oh, this is a Nintendo, oh, no, not this. I just want the soundtracks. Can you just give me this? Yeah, there you go. So basically, what was I saying? So yeah, there'll be like items and stuff in there, and then like the candle can burn down bushes and stuff. So then you're like, wow, I can literally just burn down any bush in this whole fucking place, because there's secrets everywhere, you know? And then like you also, I know where all the secrets are. I mean, not all of them. I actually don't know where all of them are, because there's a lot of them that are in the second quest, which I've never actually done, by the way. That'd be a fun thing to do at some point, is the second quest, but I want to just kind of review the game as is right now, the first quest and all of that. But what's cool is that you can basically, there's so many bushes to burn down, and sometimes you'll go in there and a guy will be like, it's a secret to everyone, take this, and it's like an enemy or whatever, but it's like he's friendly, he's cool or whatever. He'll just give you some money, and you're like, oh, fucking dang, I got some rupees off this guy. And you can only hold 255 rupees, because that's like the max amount or whatever. There's like some number, like 256 or something, where it's like, that's how much programming of anything that they can hold, so that's like the max amount you can get or whatever. But anyway, so yeah, so you run around, you find stuff like that, and you know, maybe you don't have money, so then you're like, oh, I gotta go fight some enemies. You know, it's a very intuitive kind of game. Even if you're not making progress towards finishing the dungeons, maybe you're out just like grinding rupees to fucking finish the game, you know? It's like to get items to finish the game or whatever. You get bombs and you just bomb everywhere, and you know, a lot of people level the criticism towards it like, oh, well, fucking, how are you supposed to know that the door's here, that you got a bomb to do the thing? And it's like, that was the fun of it. Like, back in the day, you literally would just go everywhere and just try to explore and figure out all the secrets, you know? So the game would have a shelf life, like, way after you would have beat it there. But, you know, so, like, there's a lot of, just there's like 4 or 5 of them where there's just heart pieces just hidden behind like bombable walls or like a tree, or like there's one where it's like you have to like walk up past the very top corner where the money-making game is, if you just, like, walk up there, like, up above that screen, there's a heart piece up there. It's like, what the fuck? Like, how are you supposed to figure this shit out? But I don't know. You just, like, figure it out. That's it, you know? Like, because there was a tile above there that, you know, you figure, like, oh, okay, maybe I can go up there somehow. So, yeah, the game's all about exploration and finding secrets and stuff, and I still remember where all of, like, the heart piece secrets are on the first quest anyway, so that's just fun to, like, to instinctively go and do. You know, as soon as I get bombs, I'll go there and bomb this thing and do that. So once you know it, it's a lot of fun too, just in the sense that, like, you know, you have to, it's like replaying. It's like when I replay Tomba or something. Like, I know everything about it, so I just kind of, like, really go for it, you know, and it feels very familiar. It's like almost like a speedrunning sort of thing. I didn't speedrun the game or anything, but, like, I did like 6 hours. I think that's, like, one of my personal bests. So, you know, people will probably laugh at that, like, whatever, like, but I had a pretty efficient run as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, so, and actually there's a lot of cool secrets in the game too, where it's like up near the money-making game on the very top of the it's a pretty big world too for an NES game to just kind of run around and explore. It's a very fresh concept for the time. It's still, as far as, like, for a long time after that, it inspired so many games. And, you know, you have open world games can all trace back to Zelda and games like this. So yeah, like, it's very influential of a game. You know, Breath of the Wild was very inspired by this first Zelda game. So yeah, so very cool stuff. It's very influential and whatnot. And it established a lot of things that were going to be a big deal in the series to come. You know, Ganon and Zelda and the Triforce and all of that, which, like, I guess was just, like, 2 parts in this thing, so it's not really a Triforce yet, but it still is the Triforce or whatever. So, but anyway, collecting pieces of a Triforce, or, like, you know, in Ocarina you collect, like, medallions, like, collecting things from dungeons to progress the game kind of thing. Keys, you know, keys to open doors, not keys like the bats, but definitely established that as well. Bats in every fucking Zelda game ever. But, you know, like, exploration of dungeons and that kind of thing. It's just so, like, for the time, like, there's nothing that compares to this game on the NES, or, like, maybe the Super Nintendo. Like, the Super Nintendo did a lot of cool things, you know, like, Link to the Past and stuff started to, like, kind of catch up to this, but I even think that this has, like, a sense of charm that maybe even Link to the Past doesn't have, you know, in a sense. I really do like Link to the Past, but, you know, it was kind of its own thing. Like, this was just so, raw and, like, very much the concept of freedom and Zelda in general. This is what Zelda is, you know, is this open world sort of running around and exploring kind of thing and finding all the secrets and just like getting that sense of awe when you, like, find the items in the dungeons and find secrets in the dungeons. Like, there's some dungeons where they have, like, 2 items. Like, there's the book in the 8th dungeon. There's the book and the key. And the key, the lion key, which is in that dungeon, gives you infinite keys, and then so you never have to worry about keys again. So that's another reason I went and did Gen 8. I'm thinking Pokemon, sorry. The 8th dungeon first was so that I wouldn't have to worry about keys ever again, you know, and that's just so much fun. You could just start with the 8th dungeon and just go in there and just go right to the lion key. I've seen people do it on speedruns and stuff. It's awesome. Like, seeing people speedrun this game is just great too. I just love it. It's such a great fucking game because it's just so, it just holds up so well. You know, maybe not to the first time player, but I would argue even to the first time player. I mean, I helped my friend Jameson along a lot, but when we played it, we had a really good time with it, and I remember it being a great game. Even then, yeah, of course he liked, like, Link's Awakening better and stuff, which I don't blame him. It's a better game, but, like, this is definitely some top tier Zelda right here. It's like, I know people are like, there's so many other better Zelda games, you know, and I agree. These 2 are probably better. These are the 2 that are my better right here. Oh, also the Oracle games are up here. I didn't want to bring them down because they're just kind of part of that there, but they're there. Um, but outside of like these two and Link's Awakening, I think Zelda 1 definitely is within the top 5 Zeldas there. Maybe Breath of the Wild. I don't know. That one's pretty good. I only ever played it the one time so far, but yeah, I know that's like a hotly debated topic, like what's the best Zelda games, but I definitely think that this deserves a spot in that pantheon of Zeldas there. Um, so not only like was it amazing like gameplay wise and so fresh and revolutionary, especially compared to like Mario where you're just going the one way, and like most games at the time like were nothing like this. Like there's not, this is what I'm trying to say, there's not literally an NES game that is like as like grand of an adventure as this, as far as I can think of. Like maybe there's some that are arguably like better in terms of adventure, but this just the sense of freedom and just like it's just so good. So what I wanted to say also was a lot of people criticize like the gameplay for being a little weak nowadays, and I used to think that the gameplay was like a little stiff compared to the other games or whatever, but like honestly I don't see that as a problem anymore. Like I jumped right into it and I didn't have any problems with it for the most part. Like just it felt seamless. You know, I know in the later games you have like the spin and you could like cut in more directions or slash in more directions and stuff. It's like, yeah, okay. But this was the first game, you know, you have your 4 directions, that's fine. That's how that is. And there's a lot of really good enemy design too, like the Dark Nuts or whatever in the dungeons. Like they're so like sporadic and they'll just turn on a dime, and like most of the enemies will do that. And you have to like weave and dodge and like try to hit them from the side or from behind, or like place a bomb at the exact right second. It's great. And like similar with the Dodongos, like you have to place a bomb in their mouth, and then like they'll either, but maybe sometimes they'll turn. You know, the enemies are like very dynamic, and those like go a whole bunch of different ways, and you know, finding out how to like kill all the bosses and stuff. There's like little old men like hidden all around dungeons that are like, oh, Dodongo dislikes smoke. And you're like, well, who's Dodongo? Is that like the guy from the Game Chasers or what? Like, you know, who the fuck is he? Like, douchebag neighbor? Some call me Johnny or whatever. But like, yeah, so like Dodongo dislikes smoke. What does that mean? Well, you had to have the manual. I think I do have the manual. I should have brought that out. But anyway, so you know, and like the Dig Dogger or whatever, like hates sound. It's like, what is that? Well, you find out it's like the boss, and so you have to use the flute on it. And it, like the little rabbit guys, you think like those are maybe the thing that just hates sound or something. There was some hint towards that. But then it says that in the manual, I believe, and then it's like, but that was only on the Famicom version. You yell into the second microphone or whatever. You know what was funny is I don't think there's anything in Zelda that has like if you can put the second controller in. I think there might be. Actually, there is something like that where you can like quick save or something, just like at any point or something like that. And that might just be like a button combination to begin with, but I think if you have the second controller plugged in, that happens. But also, because I remember in Kid Icarus, they have, you can barter with the second controller or something like that. There's like a lot of cool features like that. There's this guy who did like a run through of it. He does like a lot of run throughs of different games. I know that's really specific, but I can't really think of his name at the moment. I could look at it into it, but I really liked his I like his breakdown of the NES games because they're very like thorough, and he like kind of goes through every little aspect and talks about like all of the different like angles of the game and all of that. But he was talking about stuff like that, I believe, is what I'm trying to think of. So anyway, but I really love Zelda 1, and I think Zelda 1 is really iconic, and it really paved the path for games to come, and stands out as like a crowning achievement for the NES. It's definitely one of the best NES games, and definitely inspired this whole fucking franchise of amazing games, you know? So it's like, like, it's so incredible. So the other things I want to talk about, graphically, the game is also very good for the time, I would say, and I still think that holds up super well too. Like, everything looks really nice, and it all looks very stylistic and whatnot, and you can kind of tell what everything is and all of that kind of thing. Um, and of course, the music is iconic, and a lot of those themes continue to get reused. You know, the title theme and the main theme as you're running around the world there is very iconic. And even like the dungeon theme shows up later in like Majora's Mask as like a little Easter egg or whatever, which is pretty cool. Actually, in Breath of the Wild, if when you're in the shrines or whatever, if you listen in the background, it's actually a version of the from Link's Awakening, that, like, when you're in the caves, that theme, which is pretty interesting. So I know that has nothing to do with Zelda 1, but I just thought I'd bring that up. Also, the items system in this game, where you, like, go into your menu and kind of, you know, select your item and whatnot. Bombs and the boomerang, which is pretty cool. There's a boomerang you can get in the first dungeon, but then there's a even more powerful version in the second dungeon, which is actually pretty cool. It's a little... You don't even necessarily know to get either of them, because really what it comes down to is, like, you have to defeat a bunch of enemies to even know to get the boomerang. So, but it's such a useful tool. Like, you have to get it. It's so good. It can pick up items and shit and stun enemies. It's really one of the most essential, like, second items in the game, because you always have your sword equipped, and then you're always gonna have like a second item, and that's one of the better ones. The bombs, obviously, to use, they're powerful against enemies. You only have so many of them. There's actually guys that'll sell you more bombs throughout 2 of the dungeons. Dungeon 5 and Dungeon 7 has a guy who will sell you bombs if you find him, kind of thing. So that's really cool. Gotta love that. That's really classic, you know, finding little secrets like that, like I was talking about. And, like, just in general, that kind of stuff is really cool. You get, like, a magic rod that shoots, like, fire. Or it shoots, like, a wave, and then it shoots fire once you get the book to, like, make it shoot fire or whatever. And, like, the lantern, it'll, like, light up a room or, like, burn down bushes and stuff. And then you get the more powerful lantern later on and stuff. And, like, the rings. There's a blue ring hidden at, like, underneath this, like, statue, like, somewhere in the world, and there's like a shop under there where he'll sell you the meat as well that you need in dungeon 8 or 6 or 7, one of the dungeons you'll need it in to get past a guy in there who wants the meat. But he also sells you this blue ring that's 250. It's like almost all of your money. You'd have to almost max out your wallet there to get this thing, but it gives you a higher defense. And then there's a red ring in the very final dungeon, which is cool, but you can't, like, just go and sequence break and go and get that one first, because to get into the final dungeon, you need all of the pieces of the Triforce to get past, like, the second room in that dungeon. So that's good thinking on their part. And even the final dungeon is, like, hidden. It's, like, up in the mountains, and you have to, like, bomb, like, a very specific rock. And there's, like, a hint towards that in there. There's even a hint. One of the old man says, 10th enemy has the bomb, which alludes to, like, a pattern in the game where if you kill 10 enemies without getting hit, you'll get an item. Sometimes it'll be a fairy. If it's, like, you actually have to kill more enemies to get that. But, like, or it'd be, like, a blue rupee, which is worth 5 rupees after a certain amount of enemies killed without getting hit, kind of thing. But if you kill the 10th enemy with a bomb, it'll give you a bomb drop, which is pretty cool. So yeah, there's a guy who will sell you more bombs, that kind of thing. The item system was really cool. I was talking about, and then there's like the power bracelet, which you just kind of find at a random underneath a statue throughout the world as well. And then that'll let you, like, push these certain rocks, and it gives you, like, a fast travel system throughout, like, different areas of the game. And also the flute has a second use, other than, like, you use it on some enemies, but you can also use it in the overworld to travel between the dungeons that you've completed. So that's really neat. And then that sound from that flute was also used in Super Mario Brothers 3 flute, and also in the Ocarina of Time opening as it's like do 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 do. That's the sound the flute makes. Do 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 do. You know, like that's the sound that make. That's from Zelda 1. That like iconic opening from Ocarina of Time is from Zelda 1. Like that's insane. Like it's awesome. So that's really cool. It'll give you like a fast travel system throughout the world. It's like mind blowing. Like what NES game has this shit? You know? It's just so well thought out and like developed and whatever. It's like, oh my god, like this is crazy. And there's like ladies in the world that'll like give you information if you like pay them money, and sometimes they just trick you and they're just like, well fuck you, you paid me money. There's swords that you get throughout the game by having enough hearts, so you can either go and get the optional heart pieces to get the first sword. It only takes 5 hearts, and then the other one takes like 13 or 14 hearts. It's like a lot of them. It's like the whole first bar and then like 2 or 3 on the top bar. So you can get that way like later on in the game. I think it only took me like 2 or 3 dungeons to like, and then I went and got it. And it's in this like graveyard, like way off in like the left top corner, which is like super hard to get to. And there's like Poes running around or whatever when you touch the graves. It's really so different from the rest of the game because it's like gray and whatever. Like it just stands out so much, and it's just like, whoa, like oh, it's so mind-blowing. Like all the areas kind of feel very distinct, and there's like rocks falling in the one area, and there's like the centaur guys or whatever in the one area. Like they're like so fucking hard to beat. And like the desert area, there's like a desert area. Oh my god, fucking Skyward Sword. Anyway, there's like a desert area, there's like a lake area, and there's like all sorts of areas, forest areas, and all mountain areas, all sorts of crazy stuff. It just looks so awesome. Very cool. Like graphically, just, and like everything lines up. And then there's like a maze. You have to go like up, left, right, down, or some shit. I don't remember what the fucking pattern is. I never did that, but it's like the Lost Woods. The Lost Woods that like gets reused in Ocarina of Time. Like mind blown. Like this shit all started in Zelda 1, and it just like established all of this shit. There's the first dungeon is like a tree, and a lot of people believe that to be the Deku tree, since this is like at the end of that Ocarina timeline. It's like the Deku tree that's like died, so you go inside of it. Also in the Oracle games, there's the same tree, and it's like a callback to this game. It's so epic. Like, I just love this game so much. There's so many cool little details and things that like would carry on in the series. So anyway, I was talking about the swords. So there's one on a waterfall, which is like the 5 heart one, and then there's one under this like random grave in the graveyard that you kind of have to find, and then that's like the best sword or whatever. So there's like 2 upgrades to the swords, which like usually you just kind of get throughout most Zelda games. There's like a side quest to get it or something, like the Bigoron sword, or like in Link to the Past you like give the guys like some ore or something, or is it the Link Between Worlds? I don't remember. Dude, it's been a minute since I played Link to the Past. I'm looking forward to getting back to that one as well. I really do like that one. In Link Between Worlds, I only ever played the one time, so I'm really looking forward to that one as well. Man, I just love Zelda so much, and this game is just so iconic. Everything about it is super good, and it's my favorite NES game. And like, there's so many good elements to it. I know everyone just sings its praises or whatever, but like, no, like seriously, guys, like this is such a good game. Like I know it's like it's probably pretty overrated or whatever. It's like no, you don't understand. This is like such a good game. It's so good. Like I love Zelda 1 so much. It's just so iconic to me. And it's so much better than goddamn Skyward Sword or like like Phantom Hourglass or like Spirit Tracks. I never played Spirit Tracks. It might be good. I don't know. We'll see. Looking forward to that, maybe. I don't know. Maybe looking forward to... I don't know. I just love Zelda 1. It's the inspiration for the entire rest of the series. And it's just really so good. The gameplay is top-notch. The dungeon exploration, the world exploration, the secrets that are like hidden throughout the world. We're still finding secrets. I mean, people probably know all the secrets or whatever. I don't care. I'm still finding secrets, you know. If I played the second quest, I'd probably still find a ton of secrets, you know. I do want to play that someday because I love the first Zelda, obviously. I never played the second quest. I know. I'm just one of those people. And it's like, fun fact, I actually, when I played the Game Boy Advance one, I used the name Zelda or whatever. So I'm like, wait a second, like, what's going on here? Like, this is so much different than the first quest or whatever. And then I realized it was actually the second quest. So I'm like, oh, so I wasn't supposed to name myself Zelda or whatever. So yeah, if you name yourself Zelda, you actually automatically go to the second quest or whatever. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, but artistically, the game looks just fucking awesome. Like, so many cool things, so many cool level and enemy designs and whatnot. Yeah, I forgot to talk about the silver arrow. That kills Ganon, you know, so you have to find that throughout his dungeon. That's another kind of thing. Like, that became the light arrow in the later games and that kind of stuff. So, like, Ganon, Zelda, you know, like, all of that all started here. There's so much that this game inspired. The open world genre in general, and this is still one of the best open world games because it's still dense, but it's, like, still open and you still have that freedom, but it's not like, oh, there's nothing to do. There's like everything to do, you know? Like most open world games, like there's nothing to do. And it's just so open. It's like everyone's like, oh, it's still good. It's like, no, fuck you. It's not good. This is good. This is how you do open world, this game. So, yeah. And then, of course, the soundtrack is amazing. Just everything about this game is amazing. I don't even really find that many flaws with, like, things people find flaws with, like the gameplay, or like, oh, you gotta explore all the areas to find the secrets and whatnot. Dude, you have the internet now. Like, just if you really want to spoil the game for yourself and like figure out where shit is, just like go and look it up. Whatever, fuck you. Like, the game is good. It's really good. It's, for me, a 10 out of 10 game. It is my favorite NES game of all time. The NES being one of my favorite systems of all time, at least within the top like 3. It's pretty much like N64, PlayStation 1 and the NES there are like my 3 favorite systems. Maybe like the Virtual Boy after that, which is like a stupid system to say that for, I know, but it's one that I hold near and dear to my heart. And like maybe the Game Boy Advance, definitely the Game Boy Advance. That would come before the Virtual Boy actually. Shit, that might even come before like the NES. I don't know. There's like a lot of really good Game Boy Advance and Game Boy Color games and stuff. That's another system that, like, I really love. Oh my god. Zelda 1 is just so good. It's definitely a fucking 10 out of 10 game for me. You can check out my old review. Maybe I forgot some stuff to like, talk about or whatever, but, like, that's a more, like, structured review or whatnot of the game. But I love Zelda 1 so much, and I'm really looking forward to. I'm feeling really good now that I've played Zelda 1 about like going through the entire series that I haven't reviewed yet, you know? Like, that's really looking like a fun thing for me, and I'm sure it's going to be really hard. It's not going to be as easy as I'm thinking it's going to be, but I'm still really looking forward to it. I really am excited. I at least know Zelda 2 and Link to the Past are going to be really easy. And then the 64 games are going to be super easy because I play those like to 100%, like a lot, you know. Other than that, like, oh, hey, be careful. I have this little Link tin there from Nintendo Power. There was orange mints in there, or orange sours or whatever, which is pretty fucking awesome. It's Nintendo eShop or whatever. They had this for like a few bucks at Disc Replay, or like $2 or something. Of course, it had to be orange too, because orange is like one of my favorite flavors to stuff. Yeah, like the ones I'm kind of worried about are like Twilight Princess and like Minish Cap and like those ones that I only ever played the one time. Phantom Hourglass and those, and like Breath of the Wild's gonna take like an eternity. That'll probably be its own year or whatever. But, you know, kind of all leading up to Breath of the Wild 2 there, which got announced for next year. So, but I'm in no hurry to get there. But I do think it's gonna probably be pretty good. I'm pretty excited about Legends Arceus 2 Pokemon there. I also want to play that. You know, pretty Pokemon hyped at the moment. Pokemon going and all of that. But anyway, that doesn't matter. Zelda 1, amazing, great game. 10 out of 10. Best NES game ever. You can argue with me about it in the comments. Top 5 Zelda games. Anyway, JZNES saying keep it classic. Stick around for more reviews on underrated games. And I'll see you guys in the next one. JZ